Hey, my son Chuck's almost to Korea. He's on an airplane heading to Korea.
Hey, Sean, that resolution, I'm just going to ask to hold that another.
Good evening, everyone. The time is now 5:28, and we are broadcasting on all platforms.
Signed over there for a while.
So it's the date that they wanted to do it.
Did you really? No, it's only 3 months. I mean, 3 week. I got no notice. Everybody's here, I think.
172.
What do we
Just changing the time.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it's 172. What number?
172. It's on there.
Thank you. Always is. Having the appointed time of 5:30 arrived, I would like to call the Tuesday, May 27th, 2025 Committee of the Whole to order. Would you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Yes, sir. Alderman Cox.
Here?
Alderman Gregory.
Here.
Alderman Williams.
Here.
Alderman Rockford.
Here.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Here.
Alderwoman Triano.
Here.
Alderman Carlson.
Here.
Alderwoman Conley.
Present.
Alderman Donlin.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. I would accept a motion for the approval of the May 13th, 2025 committee meeting minutes.
So move, Mr. Chair.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Madam Treasurer, no need for a treasurer's report today. All right, give you a night off. No presentations. All right, next we have the ordinance tabled or remaining in committee. Mr. Clerk, could you please read those ordinances?
Ordinances tabled or remaining in committee is 2025-191, a resolution requesting temporary closure of a portion of Illinois State Route 6, South 6th Street, St. Joseph's to Adlai Stevenson Drive for the Church of the Little Flower Men's Club Street Festival on May 23rd, 2025 through the office, and this is for the Office of Public Works.
And I understand,
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would ask that we kick this out another week. I believe they may still do this, but it obviously wasn't going to happen on May 23rd.
so you want to hold for just 1
If
week?
we could
till
hold it
next
for 1
Tuesday?
week.
Do I have a second on that? Second. It's been moved and seconded for hold till next week. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you, Mr.
No problem. Next, we have the ordinances for committee consideration. Mr. Clerk?
CWLP 2025-214, an ordinance accepting bids and authorizing contract UE 26-04-10, groundwater and leachate sampling with Teak Lab, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $243,103 for the Office of Utilities.
Move for consent.
It's been moved and seconded for consent. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
2025-215, an ordinance authorizing additional funding in the amount of $25,000 for a total amount not to exceed $50,000 to Baxter and Woodman, Inc., to provide expert witness services in the U.S. Central District Court of Illinois, case number 23-CV-3250, Kern Gardner Township Public Water District, Sangamon County, Illinois, versus the City of Springfield for the Office of Public Utilities.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for consent. Any discussion on this matter? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
2025-216, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a Ford Ranger truck from Marl Brothers from the state contract in amount not to exceed $40,112 and authorizing a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $10,112 for the amount for the Office of Public Utilities.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for consent. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
2025-217, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a Ford cargo van from Landmark Ford, Inc. for the state contract in amount not to exceed $65,262 and authorizing a supplemental appropriation in the same amount for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move to consent.
It's been moved and seconded to the consent agenda. Any discussion on this matter? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
2025-218, an ordinance approving a farm lease number C-1000 with Kyle Miller for a 10-month term for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move for consent.
It's been moved and seconded for a consent agenda. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
2025-219, an ordinance authorizing generator interconnection agreement in relation to the MISO J1610 project between the City of Springfield and Sangamon Solar LLC and the Mid-Continent Independent Systems Operator, Inc., MISO, for the Office of Public Utilities.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for consent. Any discussion on this matter? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Public Works, 2025-220, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of 5 Vision traffic cameras for the traffic control products for the amount not to exceed $92,500 for the Office of Public Works.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Oh, I apologize.
That's okay.
Alderwoman Notrano.
Thank you, Chair. I did not see in the packet if we had a location for these cameras. Does anybody have that information?
Alderwoman, I do not have that information on me, but I'd be glad to get it to you.
Okay, thank you.
And for everyone's edification, these are cameras that only initiate the traffic control sequence. They do not record images or video. They're just there to see if a car is in the place, the proper place, and it initiates the traffic control sequence.
Yes, thank you for that. I was actually hoping to hear a certain intersection.
I'm sorry?
I was actually hoping to hear you say a certain intersection.
Let me check. I
No,
don't have
it's
that
fine.
information
It's
with me.
fine.
Sure. So the director, you'll send us that information.
I
and-
will.
And we'll adjust from there. Any other discussion on this matter?
No, thank you, Chair.
All right. It's been moved and seconded for consent. Seeing no more discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
2025-221, a resolution for improvement by municipality under the Illinois Highway Code, MFT section number 25 state -00RS, in the amount not to exceed $108,100 for the resurfacing of Wabash Avenue from Robbins Road to MacArthur Boulevard and the MacArthur Boulevard to Stanford Avenue's intersection legs for the Office of Public Works.
Motion for consent?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Alderman Carlson.
Thank you, Chair. Do we have a timeline on this at all, folks? I mean, is this months or a year away or so?
Days.
It'll be this construction season.
Excuse me?
It'll be this construction
Okay,
season.
very good, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further discussion from any of the members? It's been moved and seconded for consent. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
2025-222, an ordinance authorizing the execution of an agreement between the City of Springfield and the State of Illinois Department of Transportation for resurfacing of Wabash Avenue from Robbins Road to MacArthur Boulevard and the MacArthur Boulevard and Stanford Avenue intersection legs MFT Section 25-state-00RS in an amount not to exceed $108,100 for the Office of Public Works.
Motion for consent?
Second.
Been moved and seconded for the consent agenda. Any discussion on this matter? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
2025-223, an ordinance accepting the low bid and authorizing the execution of contract number PW 26-0303 with Broughton and Sons, Inc. for the FY 2026 concrete patching program, the amount not to exceed $1,020,464.99 for the Office of Public Works.
Move for consent.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to the consent agenda. Any discussion on this matter? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
General City Business, 2025-224, an ordinance authorizing payment of workers' compensation settlement with Eric Fair, a current City of Springfield Fire Department employee, for the settlement of workers' compensation claim case number 24-WC-031943 in the amount not to exceed $22,150.26.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for the consent agenda. Any discussion on this matter? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
2025-225, an ordinance authorizes settlement of workers' compensation claim for Donald Murphy, an Office of Public Works employee, for the case number 23-W008816 in the amount not to, in the amount of $63,764.70.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to the consent agenda. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
2025-226, an ordinance to increase the number of Class D liquor licenses by one for a Paravener Group, the DBA MJ's Fish and Chicken Express located at 716 East Enos Street.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for the consent agenda. Any discussion on this matter? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
2025-227, an ordinance increase the Class D liquor licenses by one for Golden Hour Bake House LLC, DBA Golden Hour Bake, located at 11 West Old Capitol Plaza.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Ayes have it.
2025-228, an ordinance authorizing an increase in the number of Class D and Class N liquor licenses due to a new restaurant waiting to sell alcohol for outside consumption and packaged beer and wine, Tata Catering, LLC, DBA Vine and Rhine, located at 3267 Ginger Creek Road.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to the consent agenda. Any discussion on this matter? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
2025-229, an ordinance authorizing payment of Exxon Enterprises in the amount not to exceed $220,030 for the FY 26 software renewal and body-worn camera expansion cost fund by the Community Connections Grant and Organized Retail Grant in the conjunction with the ordinance number 369-09-24 from April 1, 2025 through March 31, 2026 for the Springfield Police Department.
Motion for consent?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to the consent agenda. Any discussion on this matter? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
2025-230, an ordinance authorizes supplemental appropriation from the Capital Equipment Bond Fund revenue in the amount not to exceed $630,846 to reestablish budget authority for the planned police interceptor purchases that were not completed during the budget fiscal year 2025 for the Springfield Police Department.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for the consent agenda. Any discussion on this matter? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
2025-231, an ordinance accepting proposal from Capital Construction Group LLC, DBA Agizia Electric, authorizing the installation of a Phase 3 of an emergency vehicle traffic preemption system in the amount not to exceed $90,000 for the Springfield Fire Department.
Move for consent.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on this matter? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
2025-232, an ordinance authorizing reclassification of budget line that house the contractual program support international tourism grant, NOSA ID number 1607-54990 in the amount not to exceed $50,000 to a different budget line for the Office of Planning and Economic Development.
Motion for consent.
This the one that,
Yes.
Yeah,
Put the wrong number on it.
I'll entertain a motion for the amendment.
motion to amend
second.
Yeah.
amendment number 1.
I got a motion and a second to amend this ordinance with proposed amendment number 1, which is in fact to 2025-232 for our records. Any discussion? Am I correct on that, Murdoch?
Yes, you are, and this amendment states that this is for the Springfield Convention and Visitors Bureau, not our Office of Planning and Economic Development.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion?
Chairman, while you're
was
doing
that?
the amendment, you may have want also, just the scribblers there, it's not 172, it's actually 232.
Yes, sir.
And
Yep,
the
noted.
proposed amendment.
Type of motion on that, we're good. Okay, thank you.
All right, it's been moved and second to propose this amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Now, for the ordinance, it's been moved and seconded for consent agenda. Is there any further discussion on this matter?
As amended.
As amended, thank you. All in favor? Ayes have it.
2025-233, an ordinance authorizing execution of sub-reciprocal agreement with Helping Hands of Springfield and utilizing an investment partnership program, American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, funds in the amount not to exceed $1,115,000 for the supportive services, TBRA, operating expenses, and capacity building from the July 1, 2025 through June 30th. It should be 2027, I think. It says 3027. Okay. 2027 for the Office of Economic Development.
Motion for consent.
I would, anybody else? It's been moved and seconded for consent.
Motion for debate.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for debate. Debate will take precedence. Is there any discussion on this matter? Alderwoman Conley.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I was just wondering if we could have, we have two big ordinances dealing with some very pressing issues that we've been talking about a lot. I was wondering if we could have representatives from Helping Hands or the Continuum of Care, if they're present, to come up and kind of speak about what these grants are and what they're planning.
This is Helping Hands order, so I would, ordinance, so I would welcome them to come.
Actually, isn't this Fifth Street?
No, the first one is,
Oh, okay.
right.
Am I reading that right?
Oh, no, actually, yeah, this first one is Fifth Street, sorry.
Well, it's not, it's Helping Hands.
Oh, no, I've already put, sorry, I mismarked my agenda. That's
It's
on
all-
me.
It's all good. Come on up, my friend.
Sorry about
I'm
that.
easy to throw off.
Hello, my name is Robert Gillespie, and I serve as the Executive Director for Helping Hands of Springfield. Thank you for the opportunity to come and speak with y'all tonight. Wanted to tell you a little bit about what Helping Hands is wanting to do with the funds for this particular program. We're actually hoping to expand our permanent supportive housing program. We're currently at 60 individuals. We're hoping to expand it to 30 more individuals who will be able to receive permanent supportive housing and case management services through our case managers at Helping Hands. And we're also hoping to have some, to build some capacity internally for our Helping Hands program. We have grown significantly in the past year and a half, and we are needing to expand into having some professionals who are HR and accounting who will be able to come in and help oversee grant functions and accounting and human resources management. And so that's kind of what we are hoping to do with this particular funding.
Thank you. So I just wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit about this. First of all, I think just so people in the audience understand, when we talk about ARPA funds, these are separate from the ARPA funds that the city got that are going in for, we're using largely for infrastructure. This home ARPA is a different pot of money, per se. So I haven't met you yet.
No, ma'am.
How long have you been with Helping Hands?
January the 6th,
Okay. So
25.
So fairly recent, but
Correct.
could you maybe, because I think it is important that we have maybe a little more understanding about, you know, what sort of services do you already provide? And what are you looking at when you talk about supportive housing and you're bringing on more staff, and what does that look like and what are your intentions with that?
Sure. So currently, Helping Hands is an emergency shelter. We're a low-barrier emergency shelter. We are also providers of permanent supportive housing as well as rapid rehousing program. We also provide services such as payee services for people who are unable to manage their own finances. So when you say you would like to know more about the services that we
So
provide?
when you're talking about expanding this for 30 additional supportive housing opportunities, what are you looking for with that expansion? What does that include? When you're talking about supportive housing, what does that include from a Helping
Okay,
Hands perspective?
so supportive housing comes with where Helping Hands actually leases the unit, and we are able to help people get into units if they have issues with criminal past or evictions or things of that nature. So we're able to actually master lease that unit, and then we work with our case managers work with individuals to provide services, get people involved with drug and alcohol treatment, mental health treatment, making sure that they stay involved with health care and they don't fall through the cracks. And that's what the majority of our services really focuses on from a housing perspective.
So are you thinking this would be something where you would be working even with people who are staying at the emergency shelter to try to move them into?
Correct.
That'll be your primary clientele for that?
So I see it as a continuum where people start oftentimes in the shelter, and we work with them with our case manager, our shelter case manager, and the shelter case manager will work to get them into the system through a coordinated entry. And at that point, we will go into the whole system of how we rank people and get them into housing from that point. So it's, like I said, a continuum that I see, starting with the shelter.
But that coordinated entry system is the same system that's with
Correct.
the entire, we need to not use the same words over and over, but the entire continuum of care.
Correct.
Using the same sort of referral and scoring, so there's consistency with our agencies.
Correct, correct. It'll be completely consistent. We probably will separate out because it's a different funding mechanism or funding way that we're funded for this. So we will probably have them broken out internally so that we can keep up with the funding and make sure that we're not, commingling funds. But in terms of the actual flow and how our staff will actually handle it, there will be not very much difference at all.
And what's your capacity at the shelter right now?
Capacity in the shelter is about 150. And we're running, I wrote the notes down, we're running at about 125 this past quarter, people who have been in the shelter.
So fairly busy.
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I have Alderman Carlson.
Thank you, Chair. Robert, obviously, I know firsthand you do great work, and I appreciate the tour you gave me a couple of months ago.
Sure, thank you.
And it's very busy out there. The one question I had that day, and I think maybe first of all, I urge others to give you a call and take a tour. Very eye-opening, and I appreciate that. Was everybody going to be, you're out on Dirksen now, where your client's going to find or be able to get out there? And it seemed you answered it well that day. I'll give you another opportunity to explain to everybody,
Sure.
hey, people are finding you and getting out there.
Correct. So currently we have two buses that actually run to our facility on Dirksen. We also have vans that we use. The vans are a little questionable, but they are at least working at this moment, and we will use that for transporting individuals to different kinds of appointments, healthcare appointments, mental health appointments, even to go and get clean their clothes. So we use a combination of public transit as well as our own vehicles to accomplish that. We don't see any issues, at least I haven't since I've been here, of people trying to get to Dirksen. But I do understand that I guess for Springfield, that's a further long distance sort of out.
No, good. Sounds like it's working out. So,
Yeah.
Robert, thank you. Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry, what's your name again?
It's Robert Gillespie.
Hi, Robert.
Hello.
Welcome. You said you've been there since January 6th?
Yes, ma'am.
You said, and some of these funds will also go to expanding your capacity with hiring more people?
Correct.
So I'm a little concerned about that because I know your staff turns over a lot.
That's actually, we don't turn over a lot. We do have some turnover, and I will tell you that with any new leadership, there is going to be a realignment of how people will the standards that we hold people to. And so it does happen that people leave.
Yeah, some of the people who have left have been instrumental in our community with boots on the ground and built relationships. So I'm looking forward to seeing, I want to finish real quick before you respond back. I'm looking forward to seeing that, and also the positions that I do know of that people have either walked away or have been fired. Are you using these funds to replace them, or you're expanding from those positions as well?
So actually, we have an actual HR director and not someone, and not a position that is sort of a hodgepodge of various different functions. So the reason that we need an HR director is because as you get closer to 50 employees, there are a lot of laws and employment issues that you have to address.
Okay. And
So, I'm sorry.
my final question is, I did hear you just bring up, I think you said you used the vans for taking your clients to wash their clothes.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you utilize all-in-one?
I'm
Like,
sorry, I didn't hear you.
All-in-one, where do you take them to wash
Correct.
their? Okay, so you
Yes,
do,
ma'am.
I wanted to make sure we all knew that too, as well as I know Mr. Frazier comes up to talk about how he's helping, and just wanted to ensure that I was correct on that.
Sure.
I don't have any further questions. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Alderman Williams, and then I have Alderwoman Notrano.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So, as you know, the shelter's in Ward 3.
Yes, sir.
And, well, instead of doing this on the floor, I just say that I'm putting it on debate so I can use this week to have probably a few conversations with you on some things affecting the businesses and some of the companies along Dirksen Parkway to see if we can do things a little different or a little better. You know, to do some sharing and trying to work out some issues, because I know it's only been out there a year, but there are some challenges going on and some things that are happening. I heard you say you had an HR director. How long have you had an HR director?
Since, I believe, March 31st, so not very long.
Okay, so, and then you just started in January, so
Yes, sir.
you guys are just now starting to put together your plan, you and your HR director, and the higher staff tends to be, let's say, less than 6 months?
So, I'm sorry, the higher staff
The
needs.
higher staff, the executive, the people running the place.
Right,
making
less
the
than 6
decisions,
months.
would
Right.
be considered new?
Yes, there are some new, but there are also some people who've been there for a couple of years.
Okay, so we'll just have this conversation. Doesn't mean that, you know, I'm against your program or what you've been doing. You've been around for years. And it is definitely services that are needed. I just think we need to bring up some other things to see if we can utilize the money differently, or spend it differently, or try some different approaches.
Certainly,
Okay.
certainly. And I can assure you, I am not new to nonprofit management. I have been in nonprofit management in Atlanta for almost 10 years, running a very large medical nonprofit. So my intention is to ensure that Helping Hands is ethical and is doing what needs to be done for our clients and the people who reside here in Springfield.
Well, like I said, this is the first go-around, and now we're at the annual, or this time when you're asking for money this time. Each time, I'm a big believer that we don't have to always just do things the same way, because that's just the way they're being done. So we'll have the conversations before next Tuesday when we do our final, and hopefully things are fine. We get some things worked out.
Great.
I appreciate you from coming.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Notrano, don't venture off too far, but.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, Chair.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you for coming in and speaking on this ordinance. I was really happy to see something like this come forward. You're new, so you may not be really aware of, about a year ago, we had some very serious issues regarding how we serve our unhoused community in the city of Springfield. And what became evident to me, at least, I won't speak for everybody else up here, was that we needed more staff who directly engage with individuals experiencing homelessness. So how many of those staff are going to be included?
So are you
Like
talking?
case managers?
Case managers?
Yes, so how many case managers are you asking for?
So there will be 2 extra case, well, I shouldn't say extra, there'll be, this funding allows for 2 more case managers in permanent supportive housing. We currently have 3 in permanent supportive housing with 1 opening, and then we have 2 in rapid rehousing. So also one of the things that I'm doing is making sure that with our grant funding, that we're not just spending, but we actually understand how many people we can serve per, with our funding, and that we keep our roles to that amount and not to push it over that, because that's when you get into fiscal irresponsibility.
Sure, sure. And are there any other frontline staff other than the case managers? I'm a little confused, like the 2 ordinances are running together. So did you have an outreach worker as well?
No, we are not asking for an outreach worker
That must have been
at
Fifth
this
Street.
point, yeah.
Okay, okay. So the frontline staff would be the 2 case managers and then the HR person.
No, HR doesn't have
Front
anything
line.
to do with the front line.
Sure, sure.
Their,
Yep.
their capacity and making sure that we're running on an ethical and legal
Absolutely.
standard.
Yep,
Right.
gotcha.
Right, because
Cool.
before we didn't have that, so.
Yep.
Now, what I will say is that we do have our shelter specialists who also work in the shelter. They would be considered frontline. We have shelter case manager as well as medical respite care coordinator. They're also frontline individuals. So it's not just the case managers, but it's also shelter staff and case managers in the shelter.
Okay. And another big chunk of this money is going to fund the actual housing, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And so that's a big need as well, obviously. Do you happen to know what data or, like, how did you decide what to put in the grant? Or how did whoever wrote it, like, what did you use, I guess, data-wise?
So data-wise, I will say that this was written prior to me actually coming on board. So what I can say that when I actually got the proposal, what I did was I looked at, obviously, how much money we are using for housing and utilities, deposits, and dividing that out so that we get an actual number of individuals that we can serve. I do know that in speaking with Josh and the Continuum that we've used the strategic plan that the Continuum has put into place, and that is something that we're working closely with Josh as well as Penny, so that we're not tripping over each other and that we're really not duplicating things.
That's really good to hear. That puts me at ease. I believe that is it for my questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Alderwoman Notrano. Is there anyone else before I finish this thing out? So I will say, how you doing? My name is Alderman Gregory, Robert, correct? Gillespie.
Sir.
All right, Mr. Gillespie. So you spoke on this HR thing. I share my colleagues' need for additional conversation, but I will say that, you know, Helping Hands, since I've been here since 2019, have had 3 to 4 directors like you. And I will say that I'm all for housing individuals, but it has to be the right situations. It can't be part of the things in your proposal that says integrated support services. Clients will receive wraparound services. Is that happening?
So in terms of our case management, making sure that people are wrapped into their mental health, their substance abuse treatment, going to their AA&A meetings, that they're keeping their medical appointments, yes, that is happening. In terms of actually doing independent therapy themselves, no, but it is making sure that they actually get into those services.
So when we put an individual in let's say on South Lincoln in Ward 8, and you put them in those homes and you rent them out from that landlord, what type of follow-up is on those individuals who are taking advantage?
The case manager will meet with that individual weekly and will work with that individual to come up with a case plan with measurable things that this person wants to actually achieve, and will meet with that person weekly and work through that plan with the individual. It's not something that the case manager comes up with themselves, but comes up with in combination of the client as well as if mental health or healthcare are involved as well.
I'll say this, and I don't want to belabor the point, but some of that may be happening in some situations, but we have too much of that not happening. You know, we see way too many individuals that are housed and sort of left to, you know, whatever. The situation that I spoke on South Lincoln, which is not in my ward, but I hear about it frequently because people we have housed there and rented out there for whatever reason, it's some issues. So before you speak, I see somebody like you. I know you want to talk. I get it. It's a lot of work to be done with this particular entity. And I'll leave it at that. You've been here since January. You're not that new. Helping Hand's been around for a long, long time. I don't know about the HR thing, but for it to be new, you know, that's nor here or there. But if they didn't have one for the last 20 years that they've been running in this city, I don't necessarily think they need one now to eat up some of your funding that you have on the other way. I visit there frequently. You probably never noticed me, but I was just over there for dinner with the individuals and just pop in sometimes. So I'm there, and I do look for ways to try to help this situation move forward. But I can tell you that the things that are sold and the things that are in this paperwork, I have a hard time believing and having confidence that this current Helping Hands, not the workers, not the staffs, but y'all up top who's running this thing, whoever hires you, we got some work to do. We got some things to straighten out. And it's not HR, it's not those things, it's how we're going to do it. Like you spoke on case management. So we're going to send a case manager out to a unit with a male in there who may not be in the best moods today. Are they going to be able to get something out of him? Not at all. Surely we're not sending case managers in those situations.
No.
So you would be in agreement that at times those people who may be having moments are not getting that case management.
Correct. And I'm just trying to follow your line of thinking. So I understand that I've only been here for a couple of months and that I'm new but not that new. So I can tell you that my commitment is to making sure that we are providing the best care for the individuals that we serve and that we are operating on an ethical and an appropriate manner, and that we treat people with trauma-informed practices. And it is going to take time, and it's going to take support from the community. And it's not something that's just going to change overnight. But I can tell you that it is my determination to make sure that changes and that we move in a positive direction.
Okay. Last question. Are you guys funded by the county? Is the county giving you any ARPA funds?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions?
Alderman Williams.
No, well, that was from last time, but I'll just say thank you again for coming, and I'm hoping, I'm inviting him to the meeting. So we'll work through some of these issues and try to assist you anyway. I was so glad to hear you say that you're concerned about the community support, because as you know, and before your time, that got out there without community support, and that's why this is the time to address some of, we done done it a year, let's take a look at it, and now we're going to talk about some things and try to move forward. So we'll see how we do before next Tuesday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. It's been motioned and seconded for debate. Is there any further discussion on this matter? All in favor? Aye.
2025-234, an ordinance authorizing the execution of a sub-reciprocal agreement with the Fifth Street Renaissance Utilizing Home Investment Partnership Program, American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA funds, for the amount not to exceed $1,115,397 for the supportive services, TBARA, operating expenses, and the capacity building for the period of 2 fiscal years for the Office of Planning and Economic Development.
Motion for consent.
Second. It's been moved and seconded for the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on this matter? Alderwoman, Alderman Williams, I'm sorry, I thought you
I
was.
hit it again,
All right,
so that's
all
why
right,
I beat her. I knew she-
Alderman Williams.
I knew she was coming.
You got
So,
me, you got me twice.
I want to, but that one was for the last time. So this is the difference here. So these facilities in my ward as well, again, as you know, we always complain we get them all. But Fifth Street Renaissance, the Cook Street facility, for example, rarely get calls about it. I won't say it's perfect there, but it goes extremely well for what they do. We had I guess the last incident was the young man running around in his birthday suit. You know, that things happen in those kind of populations, and as we try to work with people. The new program out in my home suites, third floor, I'm really satisfied with it extremely well. I wish the whole city would duplicate it. That's all I'll say. I know they kind of like to keep it a secret, but it's a good program, and it really has a hands-on feel for me, and I have not had any complaints, none. And they've been in existence long enough to know. So I want to thank your agency, and that's the difference to me wanting to put it on consent, not put it on debate. Because I am satisfied with just those facilities that's in my ward, and I realize you got other facilities, and that's all I want to say, Chairman.
Thank you. Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you, Chair. And I'd like to, Penny, if you'd like to, do you want to come up? Boy, if a face could say no without saying no.
But the support is smiling.
Thank you, Penny. I just, and we've kind of talked briefly, but again, we get so many comments and we hear so much about concerns about what's going on with the unhoused population in our city. What are we doing? How are we reaching out? And I know Fifth Street has been around for a very long time. I also know that you do not talk about what you do very often. And so I'd like to kind of give you a chance to talk about what you've been doing, how you're building on that, and what this grant program is going to allow Fifth Street to do to kind of build on the successes that you've had. Because we do see success, and we want to applaud that because, again, you and Helping Hands, our continuum of care partners, are working with our most vulnerable citizens, our most vulnerable neighbors, and we want to see them supported and healthy. And so I'm going to let you explain a little bit about what you're doing exactly with that and where we're going, what your plans are.
Sure, and I'm not as eloquent as Robert. I had to write it down. As you know, my name is Penny Powell. I'm the Executive Director of Fifth Street Renaissance. We have been doing this work, housing, outreach, and support for nearly 40 years. Of course, you know that we're asking you to support our application for just over $1.1 million. It's an investment. It's an investment in our community. It is an investment that this council charged us with to resolve the issues of homelessness in Springfield. And the continuum of care, Fifth Street Renaissance, and other agencies have done a lot of work towards that goal, and we're actually starting to see the results. It has not been easy work. It is not easy. It is not work that a lot of people want to do. It takes a team of people that are able to deal with the issues our case managers face every day. This funding would allow Fifth Street Renaissance to add 30 permanent supportive housing units, along with 2 full-time case managers, a full-time street outreach worker to address strictly the issues of homelessness, and a small amount of money towards our community housing administrator. Sounds like a lot of money, but it's also going to change a lot of lives. This isn't shelter. It's not a quick fix. This is long-term housing paired with real support, designed for people who have been overlooked and left behind. Folks living with serious mental illness, serious substance abuse issues, chronic health conditions, disabilities, and long histories of trauma. Many are currently sleeping outside in cars or places where nobody should be sleeping. Once someone is housed, our team gets to work and make sure that they receive the services that will help keep them there, that will allow them stability to address their many issues. No one who is experiencing homelessness comes with one issue. There's multiple and many. We've seen it over and over again. It doesn't just help the individual who's receiving the housing and services. It reduces the burden on emergency rooms and jails and shelters. And it costs less in the long run, and we get better outcomes. This isn't new to Fifth Street Renaissance. Fifth Street Renaissance runs multiple programs. We've supported, stabilized, and secured thousands of people over the years. And more importantly, we've helped them stay stable. Fifth Street prides itself on adjusting to the needs of the community. The homeless issue, as you saw what we experienced during COVID, never stays the same. And so we've learned to adjust to the needs of the community. I've been with the agency for, it'll be 23 years in August. We had 7 transitional beds then. Today we have 23 beds. And everything that we do kind of builds off of each other as we recognize the need. So 23 beds of transitional housing for up to 18 months in an environment that fosters stability, recovery, accountability, and empowerment. Single males and females are served in that program. One of the first things that I realized when I got here is that we had a large population of veterans that were showing up in our programs, and they weren't being successful. They were showing up here because they would complete a program at a VA hospital, come here to do a work program at Camp Butler, but they had nowhere to go when they got here. So they ended up in shelter, and then they weren't successful there. So that created Spring Street Veterans Renaissance, a 15-bed transitional housing program, excuse me, serving homeless and disabled veterans with intense transitional case management and wraparound services designed to remove barriers to permanent housing. This project was conceptualized, designed, and built to meet the unique needs of our veterans. That led to Veterans Family Renaissance, because once we opened that program, we started getting calls from female veterans who were fleeing domestic violence or living in the street, and families, 1- and 2-parent families who were living in their cars with their kids. And so that led to creating Veterans Family Renaissance, which is a 9-unit property that exclusively serves the needs of female veterans and veteran families. And when we opened it, I don't know about today, but when we opened it, it was the first of its kind in Illinois. Our voucher program can accommodate up to 30 households and was created in response to overcrowding in emergency shelters during the winter months, and works with individuals and families providing case management and services to support them in saving their own money to move to permanent housing without burdening community resources. They do it on their own, and with the families in that program, we have a 100% success rate. With individuals, it's a little more, around 75. Sarah 7 is 7 units of permanent supportive housing for individuals and families experiencing homelessness and with specialized disabilities. Cook Street Renaissance, a 19-unit complex, offering permanent housing and case management to chronically homeless and 0 to very low income individuals. Our rapid rehousing program is 24 scattered site units to help individuals and families quickly exit homelessness and move into permanent housing. Our scattered site permanent supportive housing, which is, again, what we're applying to expand, is 21 units serving chronically homeless and disabled individuals. So we just kind of keep building in response to what's happening in our community, and that's what the continuum is trying to do. That's what we're trying to do so that we can address the issues that you have asked us to address.
Thank you, Penny. And I want to say thank you for that summary, and thank you everyone for giving her this time. I just want to also point out, and you brought a team with you. I can see you're all wearing your team shirts.
My team goes everywhere I go.
Yes, I would just like to applaud you also. We know that you do a lot of great work, so thank you for that. And thank you for coming tonight and in support of what this important mission. So I won't drag you out, Penny. I do see there's one more person to speak. I do want to just say quickly, I don't know if you realize this, but when Fifth Street bought that property on Fifth Street, I actually lived down the street on 4th Street at the time. It's been a few years. And I remember, we had neighbors who went and talked, I think they talked to you.
They hated us.
They weren't sure, I will say
They didn't
this.
hate us.
There were neighbors who weren't sure, and since you went in, and again, I was there for quite some time, there were no complaints, there were no issues, and people became very proud to have, you as a neighbor and the work that you're doing. So I just want to thank you for that. I'm pleased to see this one at least going on consent, but I'm excited to see what this money brings and how many lives you can touch with this. So thank you again. Thank you all for your hard work, and I will thank you, Chair.
Absolutely.
Take my name off the list.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Penny. Alderwoman Conley stole some of my thunder. So I was going to ask to give you all a round of applause, too, for the work that you do each and every day. And like Alderwoman Conley said, as you have a few areas in my ward, and Lincoln Park loves you now. So yes, as Alderwoman Conley said, it was a little uncertainty at first, and sometimes those are the extra steps we got to take to make our neighbors feel good. But I've been to the Veterans Center multiple times with different organizations, and I just heard Helping Hands said that they need to work on buy-in from the community when you have all the community support. Vinegar Hill Neighborhood Association loves you all. We have our street named right there by you and clean it up, and now has the garden for your staff and for other individuals to come there. So I think you're doing an amazing job, and we need to use this as an example to keep going and moving forward. I know last year, Alderwoman Nutriano kind of brought a little bit, it's a touchy subject I don't like talking about, but it opened our eyes to see what we needed to do to move and progress as one unit. And I think, do you all meet, all of you all, like how you all came here lined up that day? Do all of y'all meet a couple times a year together? Like the different organizations? Do you all come together and like have dialogue?
As far as the continuum's concerned?
Yes, like so Helping Hands.
Oh, yes, we meet all the time.
Okay, so I think too, using some of your examples that we're hearing about today to continue to share that so others have that as a platform. They don't have to recreate the wheel when we already have a good foundation through you and it's working and we see it.
I think that we have a lot of good organizations in Springfield, and again, this is not easy work. I think the continuum and the agencies have worked hard to improve the situation here. When this money became available, it was made very public, and there was only 2 organizations that applied. So I think that we have to keep that in mind as we're moving forward to try to get the job done, because it's a heavy lift, and it's a heavy lift. You all know that.
I would just, again, encourage when you do those meetings to speak about that, just for my colleagues. I'm a part of one organization, and it's a statewide organization that comes together, and we put, what did we do? Essential kits, but big heavy bags of them to provide for our veterans. So you have the community buy-in, and I see it with my own eyes, and I would like to see that in other avenues too, and I think it could be helpful. So thank you again, and thank you to each and everyone for y'all being her team and her soldiers. Thank you, Chair.
I couldn't do it without him.
I know.
Any, Alderman Williams, thank you, Alderman
Yes,
Williams.
so thank you again. I really, I didn't have a question for her. I wanted to speak with the big man, Josh Sabo, if he could come up for a minute, please. And while he's on his way up, I did want to say to Mr. Robert from Helping Hands that it's important how we do things, and this includes this council too. It's real important how we do things, because Renaissance is successful because you said it. They have the community buy-in. I mean, they truly do. Helping Hands does not, but it's not all Helping Hands' fault. Some of it is on our side and the county for making a move without getting the community support the way we should. And then they would be sitting here on consent. And what I wanted to ask you, Mr. Sable, in view of what's going on in the federal government with our president and his ideals and this big, beautiful whatever, and these cuts and the impacts that they're going to have on our state of Illinois and other states, as well as from the state on the impacts it's going to have on what the state can do for the city, is there any kind of contingency plans, or have you guys been preparing or thinking about these things? If it's for real, I mean, our hope is in our U.S. Senate, kind of fixes some of this and negotiate our way out of this, not to have these severe cuts. But if you really read that stuff, it's a lot of programming, and it's going to impact a lot of people's lives that your big umbrella takes care of and works with.
Yeah, unquestionably. I mean, our country's support network is not big enough as it is. So as cuts come to Medicaid or the Continuum of Care program or other programs, the reality is there's already a deficit in terms of the need and the resources available. So there's no way to contingency plan if policies take more away from folks who are already kind of barely making it, right? On our end, from the Continuum of Care side, this is significant, right? That these funds, in terms of what they were able to do across these two organizations, will help provide housing for 60 people. It's more than we get from the federal government. If you put all this together, this is 3 years worth of federal funding for our community. So this is a big deal to buy some time for us. The other big strategy that the Continuum has been working on is developing what we call the flexible housing pool. I think you all have seen the graphs of our supportive housing need. There's a $3 million+ gap currently in terms of the folks that are experiencing homelessness in the community and what's needed to create exactly these types of programs that these two organizations are working to grow. So we're reaching out to hospitals, to local philanthropists, with the goal of raising $1 million for this flexible housing pool. That then, the goal of that fund is to maximize efficiency, right? So, I think Robert mentioned, they get some state funding for case managers, but and they get a little bit from federal. And so you have to kind of put all that together, but what you might end up with is case managers who don't have a full caseload because there's not enough rental subsidy, right? So the goal of that flexible housing pool is to find out where there's efficiencies, where for the lowest investment as a community, we can provide housing for the most people.
Well,
but then that
I was
also
just looking
serves
at
as
the impacts. I mean, it just impacts so much that we don't really see until them cuts actually happen. And if you're kind of boring like me and just read through all that stuff and actually see how it can impact. And I'm glad to hear you are thinking about it, because these days we just never know. It may very well materialize and pass, and it very well may get adjusted and not be as bad as it looks right now. So thank you for answering my question.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
That's it.
Thank you, Alderman Williams. I'll follow up. Josh, you good? Go ahead, have a seat. You all good. You all good. I will just follow up and just say I tip my hat to the Fifth Street Renaissance and everybody who's working in this industry. It is a tough thing to do, but I will say that the relationships that you guys make is what makes the difference. Every time I'm out or somebody calling me, it's somebody in this crowd that I have to call at all times of the night, and I thank you for that, because I don't know what I just know I better call one of y'all. But when you see people in the rain, sleet, snow, whatever, that need help, You guys have always been available, and I appreciate that. I appreciate how you guys get out and work and really meet people where they're at, and that's what's needed. We can have 1,000 degrees, we can have the smartest people in the world, but people who are gonna get out in these streets and really get out in the rough, I like to call it, and connect with people is what we need, and that's the change. So I appreciate everyone for doing that, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. All right, anyone else? Anyone else? All right, it's been moved and seconded for consent. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Mr. Clerk?
2025-235, an ordinance authorizing an additional funding in the amount not to exceed $485,000 for Luminaire Health Benefits to serve as a third-party administrator and the utilization of management team for the City of Springfield's health insurance program for the remainder of the fiscal year for 2026.
It's been moved and seconded for the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on this matter? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
2025-236, an ordinance authorizes payment of $35,000 to Time Zone 1 for the U.S. Travel Association's IPW 2025 Travel Show and Familiarization Tour using grant number 25-332001 for the Springfield Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for consent. Any discussion on this matter? All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Is there any unfinished business to become before this committee?
Yes.
Alderman Williams, oh, it
No,
is.
no,
No, well, you was already on there. Alderwoman Purchase. Alderwoman Purchase. Alderwoman Purchase, let's roll.
I'll let him go first.
You were still up there. Alderwoman Purchase, let's roll.
Okay. I have some concerns that have been brought to my attention, and I spoke with, I want to say Chuck, but Clerk Redpath earlier about this, and just wanted him to provide how does the FOIA request work, just for clarity and education purposes.
So today, Alderwoman Purchase came to my office and asked me some questions about saying that she's getting some input that people are not getting their FOIAs on time. The way the FOIA system works, and when I took this thing over about 5 months ago, we completely restructured it. I hired another person. I have 2 people now that work probably 75% of their time on FOIAs every day. And we, like I told you before, we average between 20 and 25 FOIAs a day. So that's a constant movement. What happens when somebody files a FOIA is it comes in and we log it into Athena, which is the system we use to track this stuff. What it does is it puts it into a chart that shows us where it is at all times. When it comes in, it'll be, once we get it, we decide where it has to go, what department we go to, and then we send that to the department. The department makes the determination on how they're going to handle it. Either they're going to be able to answer it, they're going to be able to limit it, or they're going to be able to deny it. Once that situation is done, they send that back to us, and we send it out to whoever the responder is. We have always been on time. I have the records to show we've always been on time. But what happens is there's security systems from our ISD and then the email systems that go out to. What happens sometimes is we run into, not just sometimes, a lot of times, we run into people calling saying, I'm not getting my FOIA, and we track it down. And what happens is it goes, most of the time it goes into spam. And so we tell them, and we tell them on the front end, sometimes you're going to run into a situation where you have to look in your spam to find it. So that's the situation we run into on the stall. We have the records. As I told you all before in a letter, when the story came out on FOIAs, which was totally inaccurate in the newspaper, that this is the way we do things and this is what we follow. We don't follow the federal FOIA standards. We follow the state of Illinois standards, which means that, and we're in complete compliance. We're in constant contact with the Attorney General's office and make sure that we're doing it right. Corporation Counsel and I were not involved in that story whatsoever, and weren't able to correct the inaccuracies that was in that story. So the bottom line is that I've invited anybody that wants to come in and look at it. I can show you from start to finish how a FOIA goes and where it's going to. There's also some inaccuracies in the fact that I'm denying FOIAs for personal reasons. That's not true. I don't deny any FOIAs. When I sent out FOIAs to the departments, Corporation Counsel, CWLP, Public Works, every department has a FOIA person. They take that FOIA and they make the decisions on how that's going to go. And then it comes back to us. When we send the letters out to the public, my name's on the top of the list. It's on the top of the letterhead. But that doesn't mean I denied the FOIA, because I don't. So I have the authority to do that in cases that it's in my office, for issues that are going on in my office. But I don't deny FOIAs for Corporation Counsel, for the mayor's office, for Public Works, or utility, or anybody else. So that's the system. As I said in my letters to you guys earlier this year, please come by. I want to show you the progress that we've made. One of the problems I ran into when we first went in there is that FOIAs were not coming directly to us when they were coming to the city. Some of them were going out to different departments, and I reached out to those department heads and said, we have to stop that practice because we're not being able to put them into the Athena system. We can't track them if we don't know they're out there. And when people come to our office and say, I filled this out over here, and I filled this out over here, and I'm not hearing, my staff immediately goes to work, tracks it down, finds out where it's at, and we get that to the people. But the time limit's being met on every level, and again, I'm willing to show it to any one of you that want to come by.
Thank you. Alderwoman Purchase?
Yes, I think that was important because I don't think a lot of people know those steps. So thank you for sharing that, and just if anybody has any questions, they can contact Clerk Redpath's office, or even stop in there like I did today and just call them by the window. Thank you.
Real quick, Alderwoman Altrano, Alderwoman Williams has a follow-up question to that. Are you on FOIA?
That's fine.
Alderwoman Williams,
I
go
know
ahead.
you next, but.
Yeah. The polite one.
Clerk Redpath.
I'll go by anything.
I was going to say Chuck, but corporate counsel's connection to this FOIA piece then, where's he come in and where is he not in? Or are you totally separate from what corporate counsel does with FOIAs?
I'm the facilitator of the FOIAs that come in. I bring them in, we log them into our Athena system, and then I send them to the departments. The Corporation Counsel doesn't always get FOIAs. They get a lot of them because it has to deal with legal questions.
Okay.
Police Department gets quite a few because they asking for police records and that type of stuff. But I'm the facilitator that sends them to the departments. They make the determination on where the FOIA is going to go. And then they send that back to us, and then we put it in our system. We send it out to whatever email address that we have, and it goes to that person, and then it's closed in the Athena system.
Okay, and so you're requiring police and fire as well?
Everybody.
Everybody?
Every
Okay.
department has a FOIA person that handles FOIAs except one department. I think OPED, and we're working on getting an appointment for them to have a point person, but everybody is there. Every staff member I have is trained in FOIA. We've all been through the certification program, and we know what we're doing, and I got two good people. I can't tell you how happy I am with the staff I have. They are excellent people. They work their tails off, and like today, I had a call from another reporter who said, I filed this, and can you tell me where it's at? I went out, pulled it up, and it showed that it went back to him 2 days later, and he didn't get it. And the same situation. We immediately got on it and got the information to that person and had it. We're not holding anything back.
Okay.
We have no reason to not get FOIAs out on time. We don't have any reason. And so when things come in, people have any questions, they're welcome to call us. I'm there every day. I get there every day between 7 and 7:15, and I leave usually around 4:30 or 5.
I appreciate your information. I think it's going to help some clarity on
Yeah,
some things.
I know there's some confusion, but that's what happens. That's the process.
Thank you for the question, Alvin.
Alderwoman Altrano?
Thank you, Chair. I wouldn't really call it confusion. So the reports that I've been hearing are that they get the automatically generated response, and then they do not ever get their FOIA. And you could say, my phone is lighting up right now because people are checking their spam folders and letting me know that nothing's there. So in the event that, I mean, I understand not every FOIA can be answered as submitted. In the event someone submits a FOIA to you that is too broad or whatever, what's the feedback there?
Say it again. I didn't.
If someone submits a FOIA request to you that doesn't meet the standards, like let's say it's too broad or whatever the case may be, do you then let them know?
I'm going to let Corporation Counsel answer that because that's a little bit out of my league.
So if it's an overly broad request or generates too many responsive documents, that's something that my office would get involved in. And we send a letter saying your request is overly broad. We'd have to go through, say, 4,000 emails or something. So we give them an opportunity to narrow their request, which is required under FOIA. If they narrow it, then we respond, or it might continue to be broad, and we let them know again. If they don't respond to us, then it's denied for being overly broad.
Okay. Thank you. That is helpful.
And this is a copy of the Athena tracking situation. I know you can't see it from here, but I'll be glad to show it to you, any of you afterwards. It starts where it starts, it shows where we send it, and then it shows where it stops. And that's how we know. And if something gets caught in a clog somewhere where we don't know where it's about, we'll manually take care of that. There's times when my FOIA people have actually used their personal email to send stuff out and try to make sure that people are getting the information.
Okay. So what am I to say to the folks who are telling me that they've checked their spam and they haven't got the broad letter from Corporation Counsel and they haven't received a response from their FOIA request? What do you have to say?
Call me.
Okay. Okay.
Call me.
And
have them call me, and if they want to come in, we'll show them exactly where it's at.
okay. All right. Yeah, that is.
She ain't happy. She ain't happy.
Well, I'm speechless right now. So I will have them contact you again, and I will have the other folks who have emailed. Okay. So let's get specific. The emails that we get as a council, like every Tuesday, from a group that has been requesting FOIA documents and is saying that they are now going to, I can't remember what action they said they were going to take. Are you familiar with this? It's a watchdog group. They have been asking.
Yeah, so they requested, we sent them an overly broad letter. They received that, they filed with the PAC office. We received a determination from the PAC office that we did not have any responsive documents. So we received another request today from them pursuant to that PAC office opinion. And we're in the process of determining whether or not we can respond to that request.
Okay.
So I will share that opinion from the Attorney General with you. I wasn't on those emails, so I didn't know if you were, that you were involved, but I'll circulate that to council this evening.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm not sure, really, there's a lot of people on the emails, so, no, it looks like it's coming from the city alderman account, as an FYI. So that is just one of the instances, but I would just like to say that the responses that I've received tonight are not satisfactory. I do not believe that it addresses everyone's concerns. Somewhere, somebody is missing something, or somewhere, somebody is not being truthful. And I do not know who that is or which of those options it is. So I think we probably need to have a bigger, longer discussion about this, and I would hope that the folks who have been in contact with me come forward and are able to address that with you and maybe address it publicly.
Alderwoman, you're welcome to come. Bring whoever you want, and we'll go through the whole thing. I'd be glad to do that, and
Okay.
have nothing to hide.
All right, good. That's great to hear. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on this matter here? All right. Any other unfinished business?
Yes.
You again?
You made me wait.
Alderman Williams.
Public Works, please.
Director Fuchs,
Yeah.
if you may.
Director, this is grass cutting again, but I just need to get some clarification. Get some clarification on sidewalks and which side of the sidewalks. So when I'm traveling down Cook Street and some of the other streets, on what I call the city side of the sidewalk, the grass is pretty high. And I want to know, do the grass contractors, are they contracted to cut that, or is that just our regular public workers
So you're
that
talking
cut that?
between the curb and the sidewalk?
Right,
And so
where the poles usually are and that kind
Right,
of
so
stuff, yeah.
so the lot behind that, on the other side of the sidewalk is being cut, but the right-of-way is not?
I'm saying the right-of-way, whether it's a private home or just an empty lot or whatever, the right-of-ways are not being cut. And I'm asking, is the contract grass cutters, are they contracted to cut them too? Or can they be contracted to cut them?
They can, sure. Normally, the property owner is responsible for mowing the right-of-way that's adjacent to their property. But you're talking about cases, the empty lots that
Right.
the city is
Or
mowing.
abandoned houses,
Right,
that
right.
kind of thing.
I'll make sure that we take a look at that, sir.
Yeah, especially on the
do-
major thoroughways. I mean, they're there, and they're pretty high on certain corners.
Do you have a specific address?
Martin Luther King and Cook.
14th and Cook, yeah.
19 East Ave.
26
I'll
and
send you some
Cook.
more.
Just drive Cook.
Just drive.
Yeah, just drive Cook, and you'll sit on both sides, And I think I don't know why they're being left out.
I'll take.
Well, I do know that they're in front of lots or they're in front of, at the intersections, just right, who's responsible but the city?
We'll
So
take a
just
look.
take a look. If you
sure.
drive Cook, you'll see all of them. They're pretty high.
I'll drive Cook tomorrow.
And
Taking a
is
list, I
all
have
of
a
our
few.
contractors being used, or, because when I see somebody say, well, I'm waiting on the city to give me assignment, then I ride and I see that kind of stuff, I'm like, why ain't they using them to,
Let me take a look at it.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Alderman. Thank you, Director. Any other,
Well, you're making a list.
Grass
You're making a
comments.
list, Director Fuchs.
Alderman Carson?
Thank you,
Go ahead, throw it
Chair.
on in.
I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about grass cutting like all the last 2 weeks. May want to take a look at Wabash along Sherwood, both sides. And then I drive Monroe Street a lot, which is not in my ward, the intersection there of Monroe and Lawrence.
Lawrence?
Lawrence, you got that AT&T building in there where you've got that big hill. That is, that's out of
If it's a
that's
steep
out of
hill,
control.
it probably takes a specific piece of equipment,
Yeah,
but
so
I'll be glad
I
to
just-
take a look at it.
We'll get that on the record, so thank you.
Monroe at Lawrence, near the AT&T facility.
Absolutely. Any other grass?
Oh, yeah.
Alderwoman, no Toronto.
Thank you, Chair. So, grass-related, actually, the thing that popped to my mind is, I know, so last week, you had said that branch pickup would be in June, but it's
I'm sorry, it's July.
It
I
is
beg
in
your
July, and that's fine. I don't expect you to remember all. But I will say that I still do have a lot of branches, like large branches, not limbs, or what's bigger? A limb, actually, probably. Like huge limbs that were blown down by the storm in Ward 6. So I don't know if anybody else is having these issues, but they're out and they're in the right of way. And I actually have a limb that has been blocking a sidewalk.
Where is
so
that?
That is on South Glenwood, the 1500
South
block.
Glenwood?
Yeah. And
Where on where on South Glenwood?
the 1500 block. And so I know the zone manager let me know that you guys have been short-staffed or behind or what have you. But I would like to encourage you to think about maybe checking out these branches. I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, I guess they could sit there for a whole month, but it's going to be a month plus for some people.
We'd be glad to take a look at it, and I know that you all know that you are free to communicate with me at any time. When we go outside of the rotation, then we have to pull crews off from other jobs to take care of that. But if it's on the sidewalk, it shouldn't be there.
Yeah. This one, it's by my house. I was like, I'm going to go over there and cut it up, and it's too big.
South Glenwood, 1500 block.
Yeah. I do appreciate that. And the other grass-related thing that my colleagues reminded me of is South 6th Street between Stanford and the interstate is starting to get weedy, so the concrete medians. So if we could remind our IDOT friends to put their weed killer out or go ahead and mow the concrete.
South 6th Street at Stanford.
Stanford all the way to the interstate. All the way down.
Okay.
Whole big area. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, Chair.
No problem at all. Alderman Donlin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. As you know, Director, I tend to bring up the grass issues that we have in Ward 9 to you personally via email or a call or what have you, but I am going to bring one up since you're writing it down. Churchill Road down at the bottom by the bridge.
Churchill Road.
It's absolutely city's responsibility, and it's
At the bridge?
yeah, near the bridge and just west of the bridge. But what I really wanted to talk about, Mr. Chair, is I've been getting a number of calls about the broadband companies yet again, because it's that time of the year. And it's unfortunate that the city does not have the authority to allow, permit, whatever you want to say, these companies to come into a neighborhood or not, nor coordinate which companies and when they can come in. So I'll give you an example. In at least, many subdivisions in my ward, we'll have one broadband company come in, and then the next, let's say in the fall, the next spring, another one will come in, and the residents have to go through the whole tearing up the yard and the process that's involved with that. But what the city can help with, I just want to be clear here, is we can help with ensuring that the companies that put in the broadband and the companies that are responsible for it put the property back in the same condition it was in prior to the beginning of the project. Because they can't just leave a hole, they can't just, tear up your property and not have to, and whether making it like it was or compensate you, that's where we as the council can help. But we don't dictate where they go. And one of the questions that I've been getting recently is, when everything's flagged, most of the sewer, the water lines and so forth, electricity is more near, as Alderman Williams described, more near the right-of-way, sidewalks in that area. But the broadband companies, I learned from Nate Bottom, our city engineer, they have some flexibility to be at least, if I recall correctly, 15 feet away from that to allow them the flexibility to not be near these major utilities. So people were upset about them being out of the easement, so to speak. But so if anybody has questions about that, they should, be encouraged to call us. We can check it out. But we as council, and I'm just saying this for the public really, we can help with facilitating that dialogue and getting the property in the condition it was in prior to the projects. But unfortunately, we can't control when and where they go.
They have to restore it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Good question. I would be interested in knowing what we could do to strengthen that up. You back, Mr. Carlson? Alderman Carlson?
Can I get back?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
I love complimenting Director Fuchs. Seriously, but back on the I-3 broadband, what Donlin just brought up, I have had great luck. They have just finished up Westchester, and now they're going into Lincolnshire. But it's your office. If any residents have had an issue, they have contacted me, and I've contacted your office, and they have been back out, let all my colleagues know, they have been back out in the next day or two to correct the problem, because I think 90% of the time, 95% of the time, they are supposed to be in the right of way. But you may have a corner house I had an issue with, and they had to come through the backyard, and they sort of messed up some decorative rock. But after a couple of calls to the company from your shop, they came out, and the customer, the constituent, is very happy. So I've had a good experience working with your office on that. And then back to the pile of branches, through some investigative door knocking around branch piles that are left out, it seems to me that, and I try to let residents know, when one neighbor puts out a pile of branches, invariably the other neighbors see the branches and, hey, I don't know, it's got to be tomorrow, it's got to be soon, and they just don't know it's not until July. And that's what it seems to be, because I have little pockets where it may be a couple of blocks, all the branches are out. I think neighbors are looking, God bless them, that's fine, they just don't know. But obviously, it's incumbent upon them a little bit to, check the website or whatever. But I think that seems to be part of the problem and what I find out. So, but keep up the good work, Director. I know it's a tall task and limited staff, and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, anyone else? And Director, I'm just playing with you. We good. Thank you, sir. My only unfinished business for today, Miss Amy from OPED, I don't need you to come up here, but there is a youth group that I want to work with you on. They were approved for some CBDG funding, and they have been trying to see where they're at with it. They were told that they would hear something by now, and so I'll talk with you more than that. But I think that's important. I just wanted to let you know that as well. I know we've been communicating, and as I was coming in, I got this call on this youth group, so I just wanted to mention that. Thank you. Alderman Carson, you done?
Oh, I'm good. I'll take
All
it
right.
off.
I just wanted to make sure. All right. Seeing no any other unfinished business, new business, no new business. Citizens signed up to address this committee.
Well, Alice Ramey's first.
Ms. Ramey, Miss Ramey, going once, twice. All right.
Kayla McGuire.
Oh, boy.
Good evening. I was hoping to have, before we start my time, I'm sorry, to have Officer Beal in here. I don't know if he's here. Is that him in the hallway?
It's recorded. I would recommend that you go ahead and go, because you got to address me. You won't be able to address him.
Oh, right. I'm sorry.
I know. I get it.
Good evening, everyone. The behavior of 3 of Springfield's officers has been appalling recently. On the 21st, a young woman by the name of Hattie Bailey was wrongfully arrested and assaulted by SPD officers. The officers were performing a traffic stop on this young woman's property because somebody was doing donuts. She came out to record, as is her right, and notified the police that it was her property, the driver had permission, and that she was pregnant. After the driver tried to explain to the officers that he had permission to drive there so his car wouldn't be towed, they put a stop stick under his car, arrested him, and began to take him to their car. As they were leaving, Miss Bailey, trying to be helpful, picked up the stop stick and attempted to return it. As she attempted to return it, one of the officers says, "Hey, don't touch that," and walked up to her, saying something I was unable to make out. And after hearing Miss Bailey say, "F you," in a burst of anger, Officer, who appears to be Officer Jesse Schmillen, grabbed her to arrest her. But before that, he made sure to try to stop whoever was recording his unnecessary allegation, as I'm sure he wasn't. No body cam footage has been released, although it has been requested. In another video, you can see Miss Bailey has been pushed to the ground and states she was smashed against the car. As who appears to be Officer Matthew Torres tries to handcuff Miss Bailey while Officer Schmillen helps restrain her, Miss Bailey's brother tries to tell Officer Schmillen, "She's pregnant, let me get her," to try and help. And Officer Schmillen pushes him against a fence, gets his pepper spray out, sprays her brother in the face, and then pushes him further against the fence while he's dealing with pepper spray in his eyes. That's appalling. That's disgusting to me. You might remember that there were 3 officers that I mentioned. I've named 2, but I've been unable to figure out the 3rd officer's name. Regardless of who he is, He was a tall, bald white man and seemed to be holding off the other citizens that are telling Officer Schmillen and Officer Torres that Miss Bailey is pregnant and to be careful. To do this, he reaches for his pepper spray and seems to spray yet another citizen in the face before he starts pushing her brother with Officer Schmillen. What's going on? What is this? What does the training look like in your department? I know you mentioned wanting to focus on the mental health of police officers to make sure they serve us best. But if your officers are this mentally unhealthy that they can't de-escalate a simple F you from an unarmed pregnant woman, then maybe they shouldn't be in the field. Officer Jesse Schmillen shot 19-year-old Carrington James as he was running away on September 4th, 2024. He was proven to have used the appropriate force, and I'm not here to discuss that case, but this is how it starts. It starts with justified use of deadly force and unnecessarily violent arrests, but it ends with a news headline that nobody wants. I'm not saying anything about the officers at the moment. I'm commenting on the training done by the department. Black lives matter, black women matter. Please do better. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anna Eilers.
Hi, guys. Hello. I stand before you today as the co-chair of the Lincoln Land Democratic Socialists of America. And I'm just putting that out there if anybody wants to join our cause. We are pushing our elected officials to do the things that they're supposed to do. Okay, so with that said, I would like to just thank you on what was happening with Helping Hands. And the reason being is because he came up and he was saying that it's a low barrier emergency shelter, but the people that I speak to regularly tell me that there are barriers that are not making it accessible to them. He also stated that they have a van, but this van is a sketchy van. I worked for All-in-One Laundry for a little while, and I can tell you right now, they have a really nice van. They shuttle people in a white van that I wish I had that van. Like, I could be a soccer mom if I had that van, guys. And then I just wanted to also touch on that the people who they're taking to go do their clothes, they are dropped off there and they're left for hours. Hours. And then Robert and his associates are having to mentally keep people occupied for hours while they're waiting for a Helping Hands van to come back. And so it's not only, that's a additional burden on Robert and on his non-for-profit, in my opinion. And then whenever we talk about like the funding aspect of it, I have this pulled up here. The nonprofit that Gillespie comes from, they have right now a total asset of $86 million. That is with a revenue of $20 million. Do you know what all of that investment goes into? Real estate. You're telling me that an unhoused man, a man who is running a medical nonprofit, why is he focusing in real estate? And now all of a sudden he wants to go into unhoused work? Just seems, I'm appreciative that you're asking questions, is what I'm saying. I also want to compare that to Fifth Street Renaissance, because I do appreciate Fifth Street Renaissance so much. And we all know they saved my house. I am currently not unhoused because of Fifth Street Renaissance. So while their income is way less than the non-for-profit that Gillespie was running, the non-for-profit that he was running, over $2 million went to a total of 8 people. 8 people that were running that nonprofit, $2 million. Whereas whenever you're looking at Fifth Street Renaissance, $120K. Is their salaries like that? That is insane. That tells me Fifth Street Renaissance is doing the work, and it tells me that a non-for-profit that their numbers look kind of sketchy. And I just did that while I was sitting here. That wasn't even like a big search. So yes, thank you for asking those questions, and thank you for steering him in the direction of look what Fifth Street Renaissance is doing. We already have some positives. Let's build on that. Also, this meeting, I want to say, was amazing because of the fact that it was a little bit more lax than normal. And for a normal person who does not, I'm not a political scientist, guys. I have a 10th grade education. It was nice. It was more, it felt more homey. It felt like I was able to engage with you guys even though we're not engaging with you guys. So that, I appreciate that. And then, I'm just going to say, low barrier housing, we need low barrier housing, but we're already, yeah, you guys are great, thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Imus.
Ken Pesha.
Good.
Hold up a minute. Hold up.
It's not working this week. All right. Sorry, I'm getting old. I do want to mark that Sunday was the 5-year marking of the tragedy of the murder of George Floyd. In that time, I don't think that as a country we have progressed far enough in our efforts and outcomes since that time, specifically with our police forces. You'll note that President Trump just repealed a lot of the Department of Justice agreements with cities such as Baltimore and Washington, D.C., that no longer force compliance with the agreements that they made. And other cities will likely see the same outcomes. They may even eventually get to the joke of agreement that they made with Sangamon County recently. But I think the thing to remember when we think about stuff like that is what we just heard from Caleb. Chief Beal is new. He is obviously taking over department, but Scarlett had already made great efforts. But we still see things like that. We hear complaints about the jump out boys on my side of town. We see issues with the way that people are treated. I won't put anybody personally on blast, but at the Pride Festival, when I got a little mouthy with some of the bigoted protesters that were there, I had an officer try and quash my free speech. Tell me I needed to be quiet while he was happily letting them say what they had to say to the people in the heart of Pride. I don't really appreciate that, and I will admit that my response to that was less than civil because nobody is going to silence me in a public square on a day like Pride, specifically someone of our police department. Now, again, that's not to critique them. There's a lot of things that I'm sure Chief Beal is going to be happy to work on. But those criticisms aren't going to be repeated here because we've heard them from me before. The thing I want to get to with what I'm saying is the idea of compliance. Compliance is asked from us by officers on stops. You want us to comply, you want us to hand over your license, registration, get out of the car, get against the car, put your hands behind your back, get on the ground. There's large things that we're asked to be compliant with, and what faces us if we don't comply? I'll ask you to think of the name I mentioned at the start of this. That's what waits for us if we don't comply the right way, if we don't follow the orders the way they'd like. And I think that's what's frustrating is when we get into compliance, it's life or death out there on the streets for us. But when we talk about millions of dollars flowing through the city's coffers into the hands of other organizations, it is a joke of compliance. How many organizations have come up here to get called to the carpet when they want more money from you, but there's no compliance asked prior? Why are we finding out things about Helping Hands not meeting up or issues with their personnel or the 4th director in less than 6 years? And yet we're talking about handing them over $1 million. Where's the compliance with their behavior to our community and the demands that it makes of them? What is the city really asking of them directly? It's the same thing with our hiring contracts. Like if I go to 186 and I make a comment about, did O'Shea have any expectations for minority hiring with those contracts for Lanphier, Southeast, and now Springfield? Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They're easily available. In fact, Jennifer emailed them to me once I asked. You guys can't do that because you don't have those kind of things. And we find out about it when these moments arrive and millions of dollars are on the line. It's fascinating to me that our basic citizens are asked to be compliant, but when we talk about compliance with, say, FOIA requests, you just said hundreds of requests coming in a week. That's a gross misexaggeration. January 1st to April 9th, and this is in the SJR. So we're either going to call Steve Speary and Claire Grant liars, or we're going to agree with their numbers, because they are publicly available. I'll give you credit, Chuck. Website looks great. You guys have added a lot of information. The problem is I don't know how many of those requests get denied. Because I'll tell you personally, in my experience, it's a lot of them. A lot, more than you would think is an acceptable number. And it goes for the SPD, and it goes for, well, it doesn't really go for the fire department. I'll ask you to figure out why they don't get a lot of requests. Nobody seems to dislike them all that much. I don't hear a lot of bad things about the work they're doing. Nobody ever made a F the FD department, you know, right? Just saying. Like, it's just a note. But the idea is, though, is if since the time until today, from January, there's about 345 requests for FOIA. How many of those have been denied? How many have been honored? Nobody knows. Chuck probably knows. But I think the problem is this. I don't know that. That's on the website. No, it's not. The problem is a lot of times the concealment or lack of information looks suspicious in a city that has been sued publicly, I don't even know how many times, long before this administration even, over FOIA issues. There is a lack of transparency and compliance with the guidelines that are expected of citizens that would make agreements with you, that would work with the city, that would work with SPD, that the city and the people it gives money to don't have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Veronica Glass.
I want to address my racetrack on the Daytona 500, aka North 4th Street, where citizens fly up and down all day and all night long, going high rates of speed, burning rubber on their tires. Oh yeah, and the stop sign on North 4th Street and Eastman, does it really say stop? Because many people don't stop, including SPD. And no, it's not police business. No lights or sirens are activated. Yes, I contacted my alderman, Rockford, and he acted as if he didn't care. Why? Because he don't live on the street. So he isn't affected by this. I'm affected because I have grandkids that are there. Also, I contacted Alderman Purchase. Can we please do something about this racetrack on North 4th Street and the intersection of Eastman before there is a serious accident? I want to note, we've seen SPD not stop at this stop sign several different times. Also, it was several different officers each time. Why? Just because they are SPD, they don't have to follow traffic laws, just like everybody else? Should we not follow traffic laws because they don't have to? So I guess I don't have to because SPD don't have to. So just, can we do something about it?
Thank you, Ms. Glass.
Robert Frazier.
Good evening and thank you. I want to start out talking about something that we all know of. In 1736, 289 years ago, the phrase, "An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure," Ben Franklin. Prevention. It is easier to stop something from happening in the first place than to repair the damage after it's happened. We continue on to Springfield in 1963, where demonstrations in front of the Lincoln statue of Illinois State Capitol. I don't know if any of you all have seen this book before. This is made from people here in Springfield. Very good book, a lot of facts. Fighting for surplus and food programs, prejudice in employment, and freedom to work in a living wage. Goes on further back to 1936, where we created something called the Workers Alliance of America, Illinois Workers Alliance, hunger marches in Douglas Park, and so forth. Where have we come? What have we changed? I can speak about what I do. I'm the executive director of CSA. Now, Clean Slate Advocates is a proven, viable community resource, cleaning laundry and dealing with workforce development on a daily basis. We deal with hundreds, sometimes in a day's time, thousands in a month. We can go on for where we are for numbers for a year. We're all about building futures. We're all about changing the culture, cleaning laundry, one load at a time. The action that we've done. With your support, we create the positive society with strong soft skills and workforce development to our underserved communities. We have a problem. We have a disconnect. Most of the people that visit our facilities are unemployable. Why? Because they don't have soft skills. They don't know how to fill out applications. They don't know how to have follow-up. They don't know what it means to have gaps in their workforce, and talk about what happened in their education. How do we fix that? Through some of the skills that we perform every day through what we do have with the consumers that come to the facility and spend an hour. With the staff that we have, or the time that I have to really pour into these people's life what I know. Not that I'm perfect, but I care. And I want the people to have an opportunity, mostly better than I have, to be successful in life. CSA assists thousands, like I said, on a monthly basis for over a year and a half, pretty close. We're getting close to 2 years now with minimal support. Obviously, the city is working with OPED and some of the other agencies that are, doing some things on a reimbursement program, but we need more support, and we need different type of support. As I see some of these agencies, less than 10% of the people that utilize these programs are homeless. These people are in homes, and they cannot bring their forces together to do something as simple as keep clean laundry in their house. And this is a problem for our community. This is something that we definitely feel like we've solved, but not only Springfield, for Sangamon County as a whole, and we just continue to do it every day. And look forward to more continued support as I hear some things that are changing in the community, and we look forward to really bridging the gap, continuing to have more relationships with folks, and doing better and doing more, and changing the culture that, yes, underserved, underprivileged people have a right for an opportunity to have a good life. And some will take advantage of it, some will not, but we have to make sure that everybody has that opportunity to do better for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Clerk, I have one more gentleman. You can, thank you, Mr. Frazier. There's one more gentleman that contacted me some weeks ago. I forgot to tell you to call the clerk. I was so in a passionate conversation, but his name is Mr. Larry Greer, and I would like him to come speak to his issue. 5 minutes. Again, this is my error, for not giving them the proper instructions, so if anybody's gonna be mad at me, and that's all right. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, council, mayor, treasurer, Big T.
Hold on.
Joanna.
Please state your name, please. I didn't.
It's Larry Greer.
Okay.
And I'm a business owner, and I also have, my mother has a business. We both own a business on South 11th Street. And the reason that I'm here tonight is because, not to complain, but I need some assistance with a matter. I've been trying to get assistance to get roof repair on my mother's business, Miss D's Kitchen, for well over a year. The last time I reached out was in August, and I did speak with the mayor. We had a previous director at OPED at the time, and someone else that was doing the TIF applications. Since then till now, I haven't heard anything. There was a new director to come in. I did speak with Alderman Gregory because I was having an issue. All I've received is pushback and reasons why I could not receive the TIF. Some of the reasons that I was told was because I was an employee or I had an investment within my mother's business. So I have zero interest in that. And then I was stopped from applying for my own business because I was an employee for the city. So as of August 2024, I haven't been an employee for the city of Springfield, but I've still had issues with getting contact or feedback from the office. So January, when the new office, the new department head took over, I had probably the first meeting of the year. I sat down with the planner, the administrator, the administrator's assistant, and the director. Till this date, I haven't heard anything. I did go out, and we took out a loan. That way we could have show the financial capacity which is what was required for the TIF. Still nothing. I've sent emails requesting a follow-up or feedback to see where we're at in the process. I still haven't heard anything. I don't know if there's a timeline or something, but I did meet the EC-DC meeting in time for that, and still nothing. So I did reach out to my alderman to see if he could assist me with that. Same thing, crickets. And so I did check my email just to make sure before I came here tonight that I didn't receive anything. And once again, the same thing. So we've been repaying a loan back for 6 months. So not only are they blowing my time, but we're also blowing some finances there that we wouldn't have that debt on our back if it was not required by the TIF. So I'm just trying to see what can we do to maybe assist me with getting a phone call or moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Greer. I'm gonna let Alderman Williams. Go ahead. Oh, caught you eating there.
No. When Ms. Yazel, I had a situation similar, but it was promised and I thought she did it. I'm not sure. You have to check with the department, but it should be a step-by-step timeline process for TIF so that these kind of things don't happen. I'm quite sure if we pull the media or the transcript from the past meetings, you'll hear her speak to this. That was her answer to me and what they were going to do so we wouldn't keep going through this with TIF applicants. So I'm asking, I don't know, somebody in the city administration to assist you, and I don't see her here. The director, is she still here?
So,
well, to look into that and find that step-by-step timeline process that Ms. Yazel created.
It's on the OPED website.
So if it's not being followed, the way it is on the OPED site, then I think we need to take that up even higher to the mayor, above the department, to the next level to get some remedy to it. I think it's unfair for you to be getting loans and doing things to move yourself along, and they're not following the process that we worked out and processed back then.
Yes, sir.
So-
Well, not only am I having an issue with that, but the contractors that I've taken my time to build relationships with is who I'm holding off, their families as well, because they count their bills in off of the jobs that they do. So this particular contractor has been waiting for me for that same amount of time, honoring the bid that he's given me, even though I know that the bids only last, maybe 60 to 90 days. So he followed me through to this year. And it's sad because they're calling me to try to find out, what's going on. And I know that we push customer service at the city through modules, through the directors.
Thank you, Mr. Greer. I'm not trying to cut you off, but I want to just hold you to that 5 minutes because some of us up here understand where you're coming from. And I will say that on that department, since the new changeover, I've been relatively quiet. I haven't really said anything. But when I get these type of calls from businesses in my ward, it's truly troubling because I see the speed track for other things in our city. But whenever it comes to things on this east side, across these tracks or in Ward 2, it takes forever, and it just gets me back in this mode where I'm just like, forget it, and I don't want to be like that. I want to get along. I want to make calls. I got answers back every Tuesday. I know for sure I can send an email the week before. I won't get any responses till Tuesday because they don't want me to come up here talking. And I'm tired of that. He at least deserves a stinking call back and say, hey, we're still working on it. Something. That's so disrespectful because I guarantee it. We wouldn't do Mr. McCormick. We wouldn't do like that. If he had some question, why we call him immediately. And this stuff is important to our community just like that is, or just like anything else we building throughout this whole city. And it's just so irritating. It really is. This man ain't coming up here wasting his time for no reason. it's really sad. We got to get better at this, of treating everybody fairly, getting their applications processed. This is part of the reason why we seen the move with the Sangamon County Growth Alliance, because we need some help to help these people go through this stuff and get it done so they can improve their businesses. It's TIF, it's tax increment financing, taxes that they pay from their businesses in that ward, in that bucket. They're gonna raise the profile, county gonna come by, raise their assessment, that we're gonna get even more money. It's ridiculous, it's really, really frustrating, and that's all I got. Thank you for sparing your time tonight. I appreciate you.
Yep, appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time. Thank you.
Seeing there's no. Been moved and second for adjournment. Have a good night.